Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with Retire Different. Retire Different is a place for people who want to ask the right questions to make good financial decisions as they approach a fantastic retirement. And we talk about topics here that we think are of interest to you if you're in that planning stage. I have two guests today that I'd like to introduce you to. The first is Pam Krueger. Pam is an investing and financial expert. She is the founder of a tool called Wealth Ramp, which matches fiduciary advisors to consumers like you. She is a co-host of PBS Money Talk and an author and TV personality. So welcome, Pam.
Hi, Margaret.
Great to have you. Now,
got
Scott,
a new mug just for you.
You got your mug, and I've got my mug too. We do this because we want to talk about money around the fireplace with our mugs. And my other guest is Scott Whytock. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Margaret. I have no mug. I'm mug-free.
You're mugless, but look, Scott is the owner of August Wealth Management. He is a certified financial planner and a financial advisor, a fiduciary advisor, important distinction. His clients are individuals, families, nonprofits, and he works one-on-one with his clients to build them individual financial plans. So I really am glad that you're here to answer a question that has been on the minds of a lot of our community.
Thank you.
Annuities. Well, look, here's the thing. People are, planning for retirement and like you've advised, thinking about income rather than, depending so much on the number that you've got saved for retirement. And a lot of people think, well, maybe an annuity is a good thing that will give me a guaranteed income. I know little about it. So I'm over to you, Pam, to sort of set the framework about what annuities are, and then Scott can discuss in his planning with people what ones are good to consider and which ones are maybe not so much.
You have really learned a lot, because most people don't even really, seriously, because all I want you to do when you think of an annuity is I want you to not think about accumulating wealth for the future, saving up.
Right.
No. Just now think about an annuity as a way to spend your money in retirement.
Right.
Because A, it's your money. B, it's all about spending it in a way that's guaranteed. Now, with that said, the industry that has created annuities has become they try to sell annuities pretty aggressively,
right,
as a way to accumulate wealth and there's tons of fees. And so there are annuities that are really good that take your money, and then the reason it's guaranteed is because it's your money. They'll feed it back to you for the rest of your life. And then there are the annuities that are not good, and we're not going to focus on those because we want to stay away from those. Those are the ones that pretend to be investments for the future, where you're going to accumulate wealth. So we're going to focus on the good ones. The good ones are about spending. So Scott, can you kind of describe how those annuities that truly do follow what Margaret was outlining to give you a guaranteed sense of income in retirement, how do they work?
Well, it's important to know, Pam, that an annuity is not an investment. It's a contract, and just like any contract that anybody could make, is two parties coming together and stating, here's what I'll do, here's what you'll do, and abiding by that. So typically with an annuity, you are going to make a deposit or multiple deposits into the annuity contract, and in exchange, you will either get an immediate payout or a payout in the future that will provide some sort of income stream for you. One of the attractive pieces for most people on an annuity is that they are going to guarantee this payment for the rest of your life, or the next 10 years, the rest of your life and your spouse's life. There are a lot of different options that you can choose from.
So Scott, let me just clarify that question. So say, for example, you give like $500,000. You've got that much saved up. That's your savings, and you give it to, and I want to ask you who these companies are, but you give it to the company that sells the annuity. And then then you agree that for as long as you live, they're going to pay you back $50,000 a year.
Okay.
Now, that's not very much. That's a lot. But anyway, but some amount of money that they're going to give you that. So if you live for another 30 years,
here's the deal.
they're going to give you money that you didn't give them. Is that right? I mean, they're going to give you money for as long as you live, even if it exceeds the amount you put in.
Correct. They're
like
going
insurance.
they're going to do a lot of work to sort of make sure that your actuarial life will sort of match up with what's getting paid out so that they can get a little bit. But
exactly.
Yes, if you end up being the longest living person in history, you're going to get that monthly payment for that whole time.
Okay.
The other side of the coin is if you're not educated on the different options, you may just say, okay, yes, I'd like a payment for the rest of my life. And what happens if you pass away the next year?
Right. You lose your money. You lose all the money, right?
You could. It depends on the options for a payout that you've chosen, which makes annuities very complicated for most people.
Yeah.
And sort of highlights the right ones and the wrong ones to.
Oh God, you're saying they want you to die? No, I'm kidding.
They've got to make some money. I mean, this is the truth, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to your portfolio, let's go back to Margaret's question about if I had $500,000 and that was my whole entire savings, and I were going to hand it in a big bag over to a Vanguard, let's say, or a low cost, annuity provider that will then slice up that money, add some interest onto it, and guarantee me a payment for the rest of my life. Cool. But that's not going to be the only investment I'm going to make in my lifetime. That you would maybe take, Margaret, maybe you take 100,000 of it, or maybe you take 75,000 of that 500,000, right, Scott? You're not going to take your whole nest egg and put it into an annuity, even if all you want is guaranteed income. You still want to have cash. You still want to have other investments.
Correct, because once you've deposited money into these and you've entered into this contract, your flexibility now goes downhill. You've gotten some predictability, but should your plan change about your future, whether you decided to, or maybe you've had health issues or a divorce or something like that, life can throw you a curveball. And so sometimes annuities are challenging in that they're not the most flexible option you might have out there.
So as you said, Scott, I mean, the company will ask you certain questions. They'll look, do they ask for medical records? Do they ask for things that they would take into consideration as to how long to agree to pay you? Do you have to submit your medical records?
Not necessarily, but there are some options that have different long-term care benefits.
Okay.
So annuities have gone from sort of square one to being all these different hybrids of insurance. Right. So there are annuities that also double as life insurance products, long-term care policies, that sort of thing. I would say that they're not ideal for that, but it does give you a little bit of options as
flexibility. Yeah. Well, the reason I asked this question, though, is that sorry, Pam, did you want to go ahead?
No, all I was going to say is, so just don't think of an annuity as the annuity or die option. It's not right. Like that's all you're going to do. It's just it's a tool. It's there. But Scott, maybe I hope you would agree with me. You want to look for an annuity in its purest, most simple, low-cost form. And that's why it's wonderful that companies like Vanguard, and they bring that up. Right. And because they're known as a low-cost provider of investments and funds and things. Avoid the annuities that try to wrap in, and we'll also, buy your car for you and buy your condo at the end of your life. And we'll take care of you with skilled nursing. No. Just if it's an annuity, all you want out of that annuity is guaranteed income for certainty. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
So maybe, Scott, you can, like, a client's come in. I mean, I'm a client. I've come into your office and I'm actually thinking about doing an annuity. What are the types of annuities, like the names of an annuity, not necessarily the Vanguard, but the type of annuity that I would want to consider?
There are essentially, and you can poke holes in this, but there are essentially two different types. There's a fixed annuity, which just by its name, you can probably tell. They will say, look, for a certain period of time, we agree that we will increase the value by 5% a year. Much, I guess, a sort of cousin to it would be a CD. It's a good comparison, where it's very predictable. If the market goes up or down large amounts, this doesn't participate in that.
Okay. A fixed annuity. Okay. That is one to consider. Okay.
And so the other side of the coin is a variable annuity, which again, by its name, you can tell that its value to you in the near and long term is going to be dependent on the options that you choose inside of that contract to put money into. But on top of that, you've got what Pam alluded to earlier was the option to add different riders in. And so a rider in any contract, regardless of an annuity or not, is some sort of additional, hey, you can pay me this today and I will do this for you in the future. So it gets quite complicated. And anytime somebody comes to me with a current or prospective annuity, you've got to read from square one, because no contract is the same.
So you're saying really the ones to really avoid, like Pam was saying, are the ones that have complexity to them, things that are added on that sound a little bit maybe too good to be true, or just a little bit like there's some example like long-term health. I mean, what nursing home are they going to calculate the expense for, and how many years in the future might that increase?
Yeah, let me give you an example. So somebody says, Margaret, to you, hey, I can sell you an annuity today. And when the stock market goes up, the value of your annuity is going to go, your value of what you get back is going to go up. And when the market goes down, you're not going to lose. Well, that becomes sort of wait a second, this is a combination of an investment inside a contract where you're an insurance company and you're trying to play all these different roles, and you're selling me on all these great benefits.
Right.
But what you just said is, that it sounds a little bit too good to be true. Those are the ones to avoid.
Okay.
Those are the ones that are aggressively pushed. And the ones that are not aggressively pushed are the ones that Scott's talking about, where you're talking about getting a guaranteed stream of income. After all, it's your money. And it's taking your money and basically giving it back to you.
Right. And the only risk there, as you said, is that if you should die early or within, like in a few years after you take it out, then the money is actually lost, unless you've got a plan like Scott was alluding to that maybe gives some variation on that.
Correct.
So Scott, Pam had mentioned Vanguard, and we're not here to promote any particular company, but are there others that you would just recommend or that you feel comfortable endorsing?
What I typically do, so I'm going to answer this and not answer it at the same time. What I typically do, will sit down with my clients and figure out what the need is. And maybe we arrive at the fact that we do need an annuity to fit a certain hole in their financial plan.
Okay, that's a good
Then
one.
what I will do is reach out to various people who work for a number of different companies that sell annuities and say, look, this is what we're looking for specifically. This is the gap we have. What do you have that can address this? We'll get back that data. We'll evaluate it. I'll try to summarize it for my clients and try to present them with the up and down side of each option, and we'll make an informed decision there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are other low-cost providers out there. I'm just not able to pull them off the top of my head. One thing that, Scott, I would love to hear you answer just really quickly is, Margaret, there is a best time in life to consider buying into an annuity. And there's kind of an age kind of where it begins, and ideally it kind of like is a bell curve. Scott, when's the best time to consider buying this kind of annuity?
Yeah. And again, it's going to vary a little bit with needs, lifestyle, financial assets, ability, all that sort of thing. But when you're generally, from my experience, when you're in that pre-retirement age, early retirement, that's the time to start thinking about this. Life is starting, in terms of what your retirement will look like, life is starting to gel a little bit more. So we're on a little bit more solid footing and we can make an informed decision. But that's, again, with some wiggle room, that's going to be the general time where it's considered.
Okay. And then the only other thing is, like we talked about earlier too, is you're not going whole hog into the annuity with all of your money anyway. You're just using a portion of it as a supplement to CDs or other types of very safe, treasuries, that kind of things to create income. It's not going to replace your stock portfolio. It's just a slice of your pie.
Yeah. And let me give you an example. I have a client who the husband had a pension through his work, and the option that was chosen was for his life only. His wife is about 8 or 9 years younger. And then we know that women statistically will outlive men by around 6, 7, 8 years. And so this really did leave a hole in her financial plan moving forward. So we sought out an annuity that would fix that for us. So here it had a very specific purpose. We did choose a relatively low cost provider that fit the bill. And so they do have their places where it's just the right tool for the right time.
Yeah. I call it an oyster shucker. No, seriously, the reason I call it an oyster shucker is because you're not going to set the table every night and eat dinner with an oyster shucker sitting there, right. A fork, a knife, and a spoon, right? But there are times when you have to shuck an oyster, and a spoon ain't going to do it. Right. So you need an annuity.
I love you, Pam. You're so down to earth. The thing that I've honestly, truly loved about this conversation is that first of all, Scott, you've used the word we like 100 times. And I really love that. No, seriously, because all it's saying us is that retirement now isn't a solitary journey. It's a partnership with an advisor who believes in you and understands you and actually knows your lifestyle, knows those, like that woman and her husband, the ages, the conditions, their life plan, and you work together like you said that so many times. And that's, I think, the secret to what you're doing, Pam, with your fiduciary matching service on Wealth Ramp, and finding people like Scott to come on and talk to Retire Different community about what's their choices are. They don't have to be stuck with a financial advisor who's just trying to sell them something. You've got people who really, really care about the we.
All of our advisors are experts on all aspects of insurance and annuities. None of them sell insurance. They'll facilitate it, they'll advise on it, but they don't sell it. They don't get kickbacks or commissions. So they can speak about it in an unbiased way.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, look, if you've got questions for Pam, you can reach her at wealthramp.com. And Scott is at August Wealth Management, and that's my British August. It's, how do you say August? AugustWealthManagement.com. Or leave your question below. We write articles all the time on Retire Different about these topics, and if you've got a variation on a theme you'd like us to develop, we'll get Pam and Scott back, or we'll answer it for you. But thank you, Scott, so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Margaret. It's been a ton of fun.
Thank you. And thank you, Pam, for being your bubbly, wonderful, down-to-earth self. I love it. And I appreciate your time so much. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our Retire Different YouTube channel and check out our website at retiredifferent.com. We are a community of people who are asking questions and trying to make good financial decisions so that we can have an amazing retirement. We'll be looking at our relationship to money and also places that we can go for support, advice, and inspiration.